I think you need to be genuinely interested in people. You need to be genuinely, you need to build a relationship. And where I came from, we have a very good culture. We're like a family, right? Even though you might not be friends with everybody as a business owner, if to the extent possible, if you can avoid office politics. What is office politics? Prefer giving preferential treatments.
We always want to grow our client base. That's good, but it's not in the size, it's not in the number, it's in the quality, right? And I'm sure that if I ask you to start double clicking into examples, you've given us one already, and if we continue to expand that, I'm sure people will be like, that's even that 15 is a lot, right? Because do you get what I mean? Because these names you're calling, right, to manage them, because their expectations will be high. They are, what their requirement will be up there, and all of that can be quite a handful. So thanks for sharing that. Now, I just want to circle back to the conversation around people. Now, 15 people may not sound like a lot of people, but it is quite, for a small business that started
Not
less
up to
than
15. We're not up to
not
15.
well,
We're not up to. So
I'll
I
take
don't have 15 staff here, but not up to 15. We're a very small team.
yeah. So I'll take 15 as a benchmark. I'll take 14 as a benchmark, right? For a business who has not, that started just a couple of years ago, right? That is, you know, um, that is something, right? And I'm just tempted to check into your. So I've been privileged to work for a lot of multinationals, a few, right? Multinationals, and highly skilled people are always very choiceful about your culture. They're always very choiceful about your people practices, so to say, right? Now, when you mentioned that, very skilled people from here and from there are, they saw what you're building, and they've come to kind of partner with you or to join the team, I'm sure that they saw beyond the vision, right? If you are a if you're a bad boss, for instance, if you make their life hell, right? A lot of those people, I'm sure, would have left, irrespective of the vision that you paint or you try to build or you try to, articulate for them, right? So it's the vision is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that there are other things you're doing in terms of people practices, right? That I'm sure that is helping you to attract and retain top talent. And I don't know if you're, fine to share a little bit of that, right? Number one, how do you even identify the right talent to be sure that the people you're bringing in are the right fit for your organization? And then when you're able to attract them and bring them in, how do you keep them? How do you retain them? How do you keep them motivated, right? Beyond compensation and benefit. I hope that is a clear question.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Okay, so there was someone we hired. We don't have a lot of staff. I think saying 15 is even saying yeah, saying 15 is even making it. We have less than 10 full-time hires, right? But we also have people who work in a consulting capacity for us as consultants. We split maybe their time, maybe they spend 50% of their time, right? So that's another way as a business, right? That's another way to sort of manage cost at the beginning, and also access quality talent where you don't have to bring everybody full time on your payroll for from the very beginning. The first thing is to identify people who fit the mission and values of your organization, right? Good question is, how would you identify that during an interview, right? If you ask what is meaningful to them, why they've been on their job for a while, what has been the most significant thing that they've done in the course of their career, and why was that if it's really about the name, the number, the this, that, or the fact it's going to give me, you can't tell. Also, irony comes with experience as well, right? Um, but I would say that what has also worked for us is that because I have had, so first and foremost, some of the people that I've had to hire while I was in Kuramo before I did the transition, they had asked about me from where I had worked, right? They went back to organizations and
Did a
they heard
background check on you.
at least one person, one person, my very first major hire, he told me he had to go and he had to go and ask uh, people in Templars about me. And I said, "Oh, what did you hear about me?" And then the same thing, right? The someone who we're going to hire last year had said, "Oh, I saw XYZ on your website, right?" And I went to ask him that, okay, what's this company about? All of that. And what he had to say about Solt Advisory, about what we were building, and about me based on his experience working directly with me. I'm sure sharing both my strengths and weaknesses and and so he at least during the interview he said, "Oh, I really want to work with you. I've heard a lot about you." I'm like, "Okay, nice, fantastic." But I'm also a tough you have to be hardworking and all that. And if hardworking is not a big deal for you, uh, but more importantly, just believing in the dream vision. In terms of retention, I think you need to be genuinely interested in people. You need to be genuinely, you need to build a relationship. And where I came from, we have a very good culture. We're like a family, right? Even though you might not be friends with everybody, but just being, if you're a kind person and one, you uphold professionalism, you meritocracy, and as whilst people would say that, oh, there is office politics as a business owner, if to the extent possible, if you can avoid office politics, what is office politics? Given preferential treatments. If you can eliminate that and people know that they will get seen for the value that they put in and they are not going to be passed by because they are not this, they are not that, you are people would feel confidence, right, in the brand, and it makes it more compelling to believe that they have a future in the organization. um if you We try to do check-ins with people. Hey, okay, 3 months check-in, feedback from them on the organization. What are we doing? We had a retreat recently. What are we doing differently? What do you think we can do? Like hearing from them and creating a culture where people can actually, I remember one of our hires who came and he said he was always using ma'am, Miss Fashola. I'm like, we don't do that here, right? Because it breaks that barrier. It helps people to connect better. It's okay if you have that culture, that's okay, right? But when you're having a retreat and you're asking people, what can we do differently? What can we People then see that their values are their opinions are valued. I beg your pardon, right? They see themselves as being part of the team. I think and then you check in from them on from time to time, right? Okay, what are your goals? What are you planning to do? I know that I ask my team members, I know that in Nigeria there's a Japa syndrome. Are you looking to go do your masters anytime soon? Ask them, and people will be truthful, right? Hey, okay, you want this, where would you like to be, right? A year from now? Do you want to gain access to more transactions? What kind more do you understand what kind of transactions? Someone has given me feedback that incorporates I like to, I like to work in a segregated format where one person is working on a deal, another person is working on. I said, okay, can we incorporate everybody so that everybody has, and then you take that feedback on board, you take it under advisement, you work on it, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to.
Retain people.
At least that's
Are
what we are doing
doing.
right now.
And I'm sure that, I mean, great thoughts you've shared, Moji, right? Great thoughts you've shared. I'm sure that as the organization become larger and larger and larger, right, and becomes more complex for you to directly have like relationship with everybody, it will evolve. But for the size of team, right, I think people will find this very helpful, right? Because not everybody that have to go and hire like a full-time HRD or a culture person and stuffs like that, right? So all these practices and ideas you shared, I think people will find, quite helpful. Now, let's begin to bring this home a little bit, right? I'm checking the time for you. It's already more than 1 hour 30 minutes. We can actually continue for another an hour, but let me begin to bring it to a close. Um, uh, Moji, I know you've not been doing this like for a long time. Like your transition to entrepreneurship has not been for a long time. But I also believe that even within that short period, if you look back, right, there are a few, two, three, four, five things, right, that you probably have done differently at the point of either transitioning or starting, right? Um, Do you get what I mean? Like, if I have to do it, start it afresh again. Now, it's been a great ride. Don't get me wrong. It's been a solid ride. You're doing well for yourself and for your team and all of that, and business is good. But if you look back and you say, okay, let's say I have the opportunity to start this again, or let's say even there is another opportunity to start something while this one is running, right? What will you do differently, right? From differently from than the way you started off Salt Advisory, right? What would you approach differently um in this new startup? Does that make sense?
Interestingly, nothing readily comes to mind.
Good.
Interestingly, because it wasn't a decision that I took. I had my son in 2022.
Mm,
I I had the conversation. I came back from my mat leave end of 2022. I had the conversation in 2024.
mm,
In 2023, there was a time I was pushing my resumes out. There was a time I was doing that, and I didn't feel convinced. Right, I was seeing some interesting rules, interesting, but I didn't have that conviction in my
mm,
spirit. So I had the opportunity before I eventually made that decision. Remember, I was working as an employee and doing my work. I think I had the opportunity to think through it very
mm,
well
mm,
and to test different scenarios.
mm, mm. But could you have started earlier?
No, I think I started at the right
Perfect
time.
time. Cool, 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 cool. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, very helpful to know that when people take time to probably think these things through, right? Mistakes can be avoided, right? Learnings can be minimized. It's not, I mean, it's not bad to get learning, but taking your time to think it through, to consult with people and all of that, I think probably help minimize that. Now, a funny question to you, Moji, right? A funny question, and then I'll ask you to share your final thoughts. Now, the funny question is: are you looking for more clients?
Of course.
I told you to.
I'm actively in the market. So I'm looking for the major uh, challenge I have right now is I'm the CEO. I'm looking for business. I'm still doing a level of the work in terms of oversight of the work. Um, you would also be involved in hiring as HR. Yes, you can do a bit of outsourcing and all of that. So day one, you're doing strategy. Day two, you're doing work as a lawyer or as a business person, or right. Day three, you're thinking of okay, growth, expansion, and all of that. So I need more clients. If I can get clients, I definitely need, I'm looking for more clients. I need money, seriously. You know, and
What you like to? Okay, so the follow up question to that is on the list, right? But follow up question to that is, what are you guys doing, right? So I know that you inherited some business and all of that, but are there things you're doing to generate awareness, to create awareness of the things the services you offer?
okay, so that's a good question because it's one that I've been thinking about recently. I you know me very well, right? So it was
A
this
little
is
bit.
an area visibility and being intentional about visibility is something that I'm still working on actively, right? Because I am a I think I'm quiet, or I'm not someone who is out there or who makes noise on social media, right? But right now, content creation or visibility is actually the new currency in business, right? And that's one area that we're working on actively. So we've decided that we're going to be doing a lot of thought leadership, right? To enhance our brand and visibility so that people would read. I mean, thought leadership, but at the same time, is not going to be too long. Just snippet that people can read so that we can share our knowledge and the market knows that we're here and it can start bringing top of mind awareness. Another thing we're doing is we're identifying the gaps that we're identifying in the industry, either from a regulatory perspective or what have you, where we want to be seen as change makers. What can we're thinking from a transformational perspective. How can we transform the market to help our prospective clients on one hand, but to it also gives us that visibility so that people know what we do. So right now we're doing a white paper to a regulator, identifying, because we sit at that pivotal seat where you have an investor's perspective because you've been an investor, right? Finance manager, CFO, general counsel of an investor. Now you are an advisor, right? So you are talking from the perspective of a practitioner. You are not an outsider who is advising someone. So we bring in a practical nuance into how we advise, and we see that we can take it a notch higher by even shaping the ecosystem and being market builders. So that's another area we're currently working on. We're doing some white papers to regulators, but we're still thinking about it. I'm good. It's one that keeps me up because I know that yes, we started off well, we have very good backing, but we also want to scale and we want to be sustainable. Nothing is guaranteed or assured. And this is our reality. So we need to expand our clientele base and we really need to be out there such that at some point I think we want a brand that the business is now coming because people know what we do and not necessarily because it is within our network, right? That's why we got the business. We want people to know what we are and what we do. And we've tried as much as possible to build our brand independent of where we came from. Come true in conversations, right? But the whole idea is actually because we're actually independent, right? I just happen to be former and And now they're now one of my clients. But the whole idea is that we actually want to build that independent brand, and that is
No, I agree.
going
I
global.
think leveraging on that identity of where you're coming from and all of that can only take you so far. And I think it's opened some great doors for you, and it will probably
Yeah.
continue to open some doors. But you probably also want to build on that and do even way more. So way to go, way to go. There is a lady that came on Adventures sometimes last year, if I recall, who is into something along these lines of what you're saying. Maybe after this interview, we kind of pick up on it. Her name is Tolly Combs, right? And she's into things like that. I think you guys may be able to find some sweet spot to do some partnership together. But you know, it's been exciting talking to you, Moji, right? We spoke last year, but nothing near this depth and this conversation around your journey, both as a career person and as a business leader. Now, who now looks over, a very, a very viable and profitable business I had, and you have oversight over people, and I think it's a privilege that a lot of people don't have, and you have that, and you're making the most of it. So well done and congratulations to you once again. Now, to wrap these up, I usually like to ask our guests to leave a final thought to aspiring entrepreneurs, their younger selves, and all of that. um I think this would be a good point to ask you to share that. What, if you want to advise an entrepreneur that's just thinking of starting or something, what advice you really have for them? You've been on the journey, you've seen some of the pitfall, you've not just from yourself, you've seen it from other businesses that you've supported. What would you say to them?
Okay, I'm just going to mention a few muscles, right? Internal muscles that would determine whether you're going to survive in the journey or not. And to make that call, final call on entrepreneurship, you need to be practicing some of these things now. You've got to have a growth mindset, right? What does that mean? You should be willing to learn, iterate, and improve, you know, take feedbacks. Hardworking, that's a no brainer. Grit and resilience, no brainer, right? And because there'll be times of uncertainties, setback, and resilience is what's going to keep you steady, right, during that period, and just fixing your eyes on the ball. You have to be self motivated and disciplined. You need to be able to push yourself without external structure, right? Because when you start your entrepreneurial journey, you may not have that structure, right? So you need to be you need to have that self discipline. You definitely want to be convinced about what you're doing. That inner conviction, that inner conviction, don't go into it if you are not very certain that this would work, or if you're not very certain that this is what you want to do. Because when the challenges start coming in, you don't want to throw in the towel and say, okay, you know what, I'm done. You're more or less giving up on it. The expectation is high, either from different stakeholders, right? So make sure that that conviction, ability to hold on to your vision, hold on to the vision whilst adapting and revising your strategy, and you know and then you need to be able to take on risk. You must be a risk taker, really, in order to do business. And one final thing, is that you must be very, very strategic in your approach. I know we use this a lot, but it means that the ability to see the big picture from the very beginning. Seeing the big picture means that it could go this way, it could go south, or it could take baby steps. And for each scenario, you need to be able to have you need to be able to have plans that if it goes this way, this is what we do. If it goes baby steps, this is what we do. And if it goes south, this is what we will do. If you have all of that in place, it would help your entrepreneurial journey. You won't have surprises because you've already thought about it well ahead of time, and nothing is taking you by surprise.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Moji. Thank you once again for coming on the adventures. Thank you for all that you have shared from your heart, right? And for being vulnerable and for just sharing everything the way you shared them. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of value from this conversation, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And with that, we've come officially to the end of the interview. Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and please see you on the next episode.